Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Retail Tales, a podcast where we exclusively discuss all things AI across the retail value chain. I'm Saurabh, and I'm your host for this podcast. Now, today's episode is going to be a bit different. It's not just another perspective, not another framework, or not even, another playbook on how to do AI right in retail. Think of today's episode as a hot take, maybe even an unpopular opinion. Because what I am about to say might challenge the way most organizations, and especially in retail, have been thinking about their AI journeys. So, are you ready? Here it goes. Focusing on quick wins at the start of your AI journey is one of the most suboptimal, short-sighted, and self-defeating strategies your organization could adopt. There, I said it. And look, I get it. It sounds counterintuitive. After all, we've all been taught that early wins build confidence. Early wins sustain momentum and demonstrate progress. That's what every playbook, every consultant deck, and every leadership training tells you. Those small victories make people feel good. They look great on slides, and they are easy to sell as progress. But when it comes to AI, that logic doesn't really hold up. Not in practice, and certainly not in the real world of retail, where complexity, integration, and scalability matter far more than quick gratification. The reality is that focusing on early wins can often create a false sense of accomplishment. Teams start optimizing for speed over substance. Leaders start believing that visible output equals lasting impact. And before long, the entire organization starts to confuse demonstration with transformation. What begins as enthusiasm quickly morphs into complacency. People celebrate finishing pilots rather than solving business problems, real business problems. The appetite for experimentation grows, yes, but the discipline for scaling never develops. That muscle never develops. So in fact, this quick wins approach does the exact opposite of what it intends. It leads you straight into what I call pilot purgatory. And I've spoken about pilot purgatory in the past in one of the other episodes. It's that dreaded place where your AI initiatives look busy. They sound promising, but they never move the needle. Projects multiply, dashboards fill up, but the bottom line, that barely shifts. And once you're there, it becomes painfully hard to climb out. Because by then, the organization has built habits around activity, not achievement. Let me explain. But let me start with talking about the trap of quick wins first, right? So when retail organizations start their AI journeys, the excitement is palpable. Leadership wants to see proof. Boards want to see traction. Employees want to see the organization is future ready. So naturally, the instinct is to go for the low-hanging fruit. Something that looks flashy, something that feels achievable, and something that shows results in 90 days. So they naturally start with things like summarizing call center transcripts or automating some marketing content or even building a small chatbot for, say, FAQs. Now, don't get me wrong, these are neat, tidy, and quickly deployable use cases. And they do work. Well, in most cases, they do work. You get dashboards, you get metrics, you get shiny reports to showcase. Executives feel reassured. The organization feels progressive. But beneath the surface, something far more dangerous starts to happen. These quick wins start to spread thin. They divert focus, drain energy, and create the illusion of momentum while stalling real progress. Soon you have dozens of small, disjointed AI projects, or call them use cases, across several functions. None of them talk to each other. None of them ladder up to a bigger goal, and none of them change how the business fundamentally operates. They consume talent, they consume budgets, and executive mindshare. All of this without building the foundational capabilities the organization really needs to scale AI. And by the time leadership realizes this, the damage is already done. The CFO has started asking tough questions. The board is demanding measurable ROI. And the same teams that were once celebrated for being fast and innovative are now being questioned for being fragmented, reactive, and even short-sighted. The energy that once fueled innovation turns into defensiveness. Teams begin to justify outputs instead of outcomes. They begin to start clinging to vanity metrics and slide decks to prove progress. Meetings that used to celebrate experimentation now revolve around damage control. The optimism fades and it gets replaced by skepticism. That's how most retailers enter pilot purgatory. It's a slow, quiet drift where projects keep moving, but value stalls. Leaders begin to realize that they've built motion, not momentum, activity, not acceleration. It's like rowing harder, but in the wrong direction, and wondering why the shore feels farther and farther away. The reality is this: quick wins give you comfort, not capability. It gives you progress, not power. And that distinction is everything. Because comfort creates complacency, while capability creates compounding advantage. Let me tell you about a conversation I had a few months ago with the newly appointed chief AI officer of a large retail company. It's headquartered on the west coast of the country. Now, this guy, let's call him Fred. Fred had stepped into the role after a tough stretch. It's a stretch where the company's earlier obsession with quick wins had spiraled into internal conflict, into misaligned priorities, and eventually the ouster of several senior leaders, including the former chief AI officer. The organization was fatigued, skeptical, and in desperate need of a course correction. Fred's arrival represented, a symbolic reset, a chance to replace chaos with clarity. His mandate was simple, and yet it was profound. Rebuild credibility, realign the organization's focus, and steer the AI transformation toward long-term and measurable value. When I met Fred, he spoke both with humility and candor about what had gone wrong. He said the previous leadership team had genuinely wanted to demonstrate momentum, to show that the company could move fast and could innovate. But their pursuit of quick wins had created a false sense of progress. Each department, each function, whether it was marketing, supply chain, HR, or finance, each of them pursued its own AI pilots. And they chased local efficiencies rather than enterprise outcomes. They partnered with different vendors, used different data sets, and pretty much opened on a completely disconnected timeline. And within months, the portfolio ballooned to more than 40 pilots. But as Fred put it, and I cannot get this line out of my head, he said, "We had velocity, not direction." And then he went on to describe what happened next. At first, the board celebrated the speed, dozens of press releases, internal showcases, and dashboard demos. But over time, the same metrics that once impressed investors, that once impressed the board, became ammunition for skepticism. The board started asking tougher questions. Where's the ROI? Why isn't this impacting margin or growth? Why do our systems still look like the same? The old chief AI officer, despite his best efforts, found himself on the defensive. Frustrations mounted, budgets were frozen, trust eroded, and the organization's early enthusiasm for AI turned into quiet disillusionment. Fred inherited all of that. And as he and I were having this conversation, at one point, he leaned back in his chair and said something that stuck with me. He said, our mistake wasn't that we failed to deliver AI use cases. Our mistake was that we failed to define what we were moving toward. And knowing about his circumstances, about what his organization, had gone through, I kind of agree with that. Without a clear destination, every quick win becomes a detour. And every detour eventually becomes a dead end. I was with him for a total of 60 minutes, and we spent most part of it talking about his first 90 days. Instead of talking about use cases or, more pilots, I actually suggested that his first 90 days should be spent on shutting down most of the pilots. 40 pilots sounded good, and it looked great on a dashboard or something. But that also shows the lack of scale to someone who's really looking. So I suggested him to focus on consolidating those pilots, consolidating vendors, stabilizing teams, and defining what success actually meant for the business. We also spoke about creating an enterprise-level AI strategy with a clear North Star, something every function could anchor to. And nothing in what I suggested was glamorous AI work. It wasn't shiny, but it was necessary. It was foundational to rebuild trust within his organization. That, in essence, is what this episode is all about. If you don't have a North Star, every quick win is just a detour. So let's just talk about that now. Let me make the case for a North Star. Every retail organization embarking on its AI journey needs a bold North Star. It isn't just a slogan or a mission statement. It's the most critical milestone. It's something that has a defined timeline, a measurable prize, and a clear direction. It acts as both compass and conviction. It guides leadership through the noise of competing priorities and the inevitable setbacks that come with any transformation journey. Ask yourself, what does success look like 3 years from now? Is it operational excellence, customer intimacy? Maybe it is category leadership. Do you want to increase your margin by 300 basis points through AI-enabled demand forecasting, or do you want to deliver hyper-personalized offers to every customer, drive up loyalty and basket size? Maybe you want to achieve end-to-end visibility across your supply chain to eliminate waste, to improve sustainability scores, and to ensure faster replenishments. Or maybe your North Star revolves around reimagining the associate experience through intelligent automation, which reduces friction and which empowers frontline teams to perform higher value work. Whatever your goal is, define it, quantify it, visualize it, and most importantly, commit to it publicly so that accountability becomes shared across the organization. And once you have that North Star, every step must move you closer to it. Every initiative, every use case, every proof of concept, and even every budget discussion must tie back to that goal. Otherwise, you're just running in circles. You're just creating outputs without outcomes. Think of it like a marathon with checkpoints. Each initiative should advance you meaningfully toward the finish line. When your teams can articulate how their work contributes to the North Star, you start to build coherence, motivation, and purpose, and all of this at scale. And here's the critical part. The North Star must have a prize associated with it, a tangible reward. And it could be incremental revenue, it could be cost reduction, or it could be market share growth, or a combination of these, right? Something that the enterprise can feel on its P&L. It could be a dollar impact, a measurable lift in customer satisfaction, or even a strategic advantage, like reducing time to market by 30%. Because without a prize, your AI journey is just an academic exercise. The prize ensures discipline. It gives leaders a reason to persist through the inevitable resistance, budget reviews, and even setbacks. Oh, one thing before I forget. Um, Along the same lines, let me also talk about another overused or maybe loosely used phrase that I keep hearing from leaders. And that phrase is no regret moves. Now, I personally don't think that the term itself is wrong. I just think it's been misunderstood, it's been diluted, and to a large extent overused to a point of losing its edge, losing its sheen. Somewhere along the way, what began as a bold strategic principle turned into a buzzword whispered in meetings. Honestly speaking, it deserves to be reclaimed, redefined, and used with the weight and purpose it was meant to carry. As a matter of fact, the real misunderstanding lies in how people interpret it. Because too often, far too often, these so called no regret moves end up being low regret or low impact moves. Leaders justify them because they are politically safe, they are easy to execute, and maybe they look great on quarterly reports. But that's not what a no regret move is meant to be. A no regret move isn't something that feels comfortable or easy to justify on a quarterly slide deck. It's something that's strategically directional, something that compounds capability, something that accelerates transformation and reduces uncertainty for future. The true AI no regret moves are the ones that strengthen your data foundations. They are the ones that build reusable platforms or unlock insights that help the next 10 initiatives succeed faster. The true AI no regret moves expand your strategic capacity, not just your use case count. So every no regret move should take you one deliberate step closer to your North Star. Sometimes through small iterative improvements, while other times through bold enterprise level bets that stretch your organization's ambition. The beauty of these moves lie in their asymmetry. Even if they fail, they leave behind something valuable. It could be learning, it could be structure, it could be data, or even confidence to go bigger next time. If an initiative doesn't do that, if it doesn't move the enterprise forward or create lasting leverage, it's not a no regret move. It's a wasted move. It's a comforting distraction dressed as progress that feels good today, but most likely is going to cost you tomorrow. So now, since you've been listening to me so far, and thank you for that, you might just be thinking, how can retail leaders make smarter, more disciplined decisions about where to focus their AI investments? How can they separate the shiny from the strategic? And to answer all those kind of questions, and since I take pride in being a logical leader, I'll give you a scorecard. It's called the RAD Scorecard, the Retail AI Decision Scorecard, if you will. And I know you may be rolling your eyes at the mention of yet another scorecard. But hold on a minute. Take a moment, because what I'm about to share isn't just another framework or a checklist. Think of this as the missing rhythm, the operating cadence that your AI journey has been craving for. It's not about adding bureaucracy. It's about restoring balance. This scorecard isn't a consultant's gimmick. It's a strategic metronome designed to synchronize ambition with execution. So before your skepticism takes over, hear me out, because what follows could very well be the clarity and conviction your AI journey has been missing so far. For me, it's quite simple, but it's also very powerful five-factor framework, and it's designed to help AI leaders in retail make better choices, make better decisions, and make accelerated progress. As an AI leader, you could use this scorecard to assess every AI initiative, whether it's a use case or a platform or a vendor, basically any and every AI initiative that deserves your organization's attention, resources, and or capital. So let me give you an overview of the mechanics of the scorecard. The total score is out of 10, and unless an initiative scores 7 or higher, it should not be prioritized. As simple as that. And here's the kicker. Every initiative must target at least 5x ROI within 12 to 24 months. So for the five factors, the five dimensions, which make the scorecard extremely impactful and yet practical, the first one is strategic alignment. Ask yourself, does this initiative clearly contribute to your AI North Star? Does it move the organization closer to its end game? For instance, if your North Star is building AI-driven assortment planning, then an isolated chatbot project in HR, no matter how efficient it turns out to be or it is designed to be, it doesn't count. Alignment is about direction, not just deliverables. Second one is scalability and synergy. Does this initiative create a foundation that others can build on? Does this improve your enterprise data model? Does it enhance your AI platforms? Or does it produce reusable assets? Retailers that win at AI build flywheels, not one-offs. Third one is feasibility and readiness. And this one is about being realistic. Does your organization have the data, the infrastructure, and the talent readiness to actually execute an initiative? And be honest with yourself. Ambition without readiness is pretty much the recipe for chaos. Fourth one is ROI and value realization potential. Here's where the discipline kicks in. Every AI initiative must have a quantifiable value case. Will it deliver at least 5x ROI in measurable, tangible terms within 12 to 24 months? Not potential ROI, not theoretical efficiency, but realized value. If you can't measure it, you certainly can't achieve it. And lastly, the fifth one is sustainability and learning impact. Will this initiative leave something behind? It could be a new capability, a new reusable asset. It could be, a better trained workforce, or maybe even a cultural momentum. If it disappears the day the pilot ends, it was never strategic to begin with. Don't run after disposable initiatives. Work on the ones that build lasting institutional knowledge or assets. So that's it. That's the RAD scorecard and a very high-level view of its mechanics. But if you are asking, why does it matter? And why does it matter now? Let me tell you this. It matters now more than ever. You see, retail organizations today face a paradox. They're under immense pressure to demonstrate progress with AI while simultaneously being asked to reduce costs and operate leaner. This tension creates a dangerous impulse, an impulse to chase quick and visible wins. It looks good in quarterly reviews, but it rarely changes the trajectory of the business. And yet, what often goes unnoticed is the heavy trade-off beneath that choice. Every dollar spent on a short-term proof point is a dollar diverted from true transformation. And the opportunity cost, it's not just financial, it's strategic and cultural also. It shapes how teams think about innovation, what risks they take, and how leadership measures success. Every retailer operates within limits. They have limited capital, limited leadership attention, limited tech talent, and even limited organizational patience. These boundaries make focus not just important, but it makes it existential. Every decision to pursue a small, low impact pilot, those no regret moves, has a ripple effect. It spreads your best minds across disconnected initiatives, it erodes momentum, and it creates fatigue. It drains belief in AI as a strategic capability. It reduces it to a series of experiments instead of a business enabler. And when leaders reward short term optics over long term outcomes, they inadvertently train their organizations to confuse activity with achievement. The smarter move, the harder, the braver move is to anchor every step to your North Star, that larger, measurable vision of what AI is meant to achieve for your business. That means evaluating every idea. That means evaluating every vendor proposal, every innovation sprint through that singular lens. It means asking the uncomfortable questions in the room. Does this initiative move us closer to the enterprise outcome we committed to? Does it build the muscle we'll need to scale? Or is it just another distraction dressed as progress? It means forcing a conversation around trade offs. Because saying yes to one thing could mean consciously saying no to 10 others. And if you bring that mindset and if you do that consistently, something very powerful happens. The noise quiets, the chaos vanishes. Your AI portfolio becomes sharper, more focused, and more capable of delivering compounded returns. Teams, they stop chasing the new and the shiny, and they start mastering the necessary. Vendors respect your clarity. Stakeholders regain confidence because every dollar, every experiment, every success has a narrative that ties back to the strategy, organizational strategy, AI strategy. Because speed without direction is just motion, and motion without meaning is waste masquerading as progress. The future of AI in retail belongs not to the fastest movers, but to the most focused ones. I know this might sound contrarian, maybe even a little uncomfortable, but it's the truth that most organizations need to confront head on right now. Quick wins have their place, but they should never be the centerpiece of your AI strategy. They're stepping stones, but not destinations. And when treated as anything more, they become anchors that hold transformation back. True AI transformation is not about proving a point in 90 days. It's about proving that you have a goal, an objective, a North Star, and then have a roadmap to get there. What matters is not how long it takes, but how consistently and courageously you adapt, you iterate, and scale as AI evolves. It's about discipline, patience, and the courage to stay the course when the novelty fades and the hard work begins. True AI transformation doesn't come from sprints. It comes from endurance, from resisting the urge to chase the next shiny tool and instead doubling down on the capabilities that will redefine how your business competes. So, to every retail leader listening to this, I'll say this: have the courage to think bigger and bolder. Be the voice in the boardroom that questions whether an initiative is truly transformational or merely transactional. Define your North Star, articulate it clearly and publicly, and make sure everyone on your C-suite to your store managers understands what winning really means. Put a price on it, something which is measurable, something that matters. It could be market share, it could be margin improvement, customer experience, operational resilience. And then consider using the RAD scorecard as your filter. Let it be the lens through which every AI investment is examined, every vendor proposal is scrutinized, and every success story is measured. Because, I don't mind saying it again, quick wins may prove a point, but bold North Stars move the enterprise forward. Bold North Stars redefine industries, inspire cultures, and leave legacies that last far longer than any quarterly update ever could. And on that note, it's a wrap on this episode. Here's me, Saurabh, signing off. If you liked the episode, don't forget to follow the Retail Tales on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can also connect with us on LinkedIn to keep learning a thing or two about retail AI. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay curious.